To be a successful producer, I firmly believe that you've got to spend like all your time and energy in the studio. If that's not making music, you are socializing with people that are doing music, you're networking, you're going to clubs, not to just party, but to get backstage and mingle with these people. You know, I think it's, you know, to make it as a producer these days, you have to spend every bit of energy you have to put into it. Like, eat, sleep, this stuff. The most common thing I see with people that are producing music these days that start out is they always try and copy people or copy other producers and their style. I think it's unique to be able to think outside the box and put your own twist on everything and be unique to yourself. What happened with me was I actually quit a job a few years ago because I weren't enjoying it and I weren't doing music at all, and I thought I'd take that last gamble, give it one last shot. So when I left with the head of, you know what, I'm actually going to do this time, and I'm going to put every bit of energy and time and effort that I can into making this work. So I ended up tutoring some people to try and make some extra money and building a studio together with my friend, hence here today in Kuruba Studios. And then also, I think what happened was I just spent so much time in the studio, and it just kind of naturally progressed into getting a breakthrough. And I think not taking it too seriously was a big factor for me. Having fun and always trying to have fun and making the best music that you can, because if you're treating it seriously, you're always going to be too focused on, you know, this frequency, that frequency, instead of actually making this track sound good itself. Naturally that'll happen if you're having fun. My first big break was the first track that I actually released as Kinnerman, called Hip House, that got released on Elrow and went to number 11 in the Beatport Top 100 Tech House charts. The first track that probably got me on the map was Horns and Hats, that was also released on Elrow Music at the beginning of 2018. That ended up going to the top 10 in Beatport Tech House Top 100, and also Promised Land, that was on Kaluki Music, done really well and ended up getting picked up by Calvin Harris, David Guetta and many other big tech house artists like Clapton. So once I got my first hit, which was Hip House, I got a few gigs in, and management took me on, and then I was approached by an agency. I ended up signing to an agency and more gigs came in, and basically the demand was coming in for me a little bit. And then Horns and Hats came up, which gave me an even better foot in the door, because it was just like, I think it kind of like cemented me in as the producer that I am. Like, with that track, it worked wonders for me, you know, Hot Since 82 to Yusef to loads of different people playing it, and having other releases on like Jesse Perez's label, Mr. Nice Guy and stuff like that. I was able to follow up straight away from the get-go because I had an influx of tracks that I made before I got the big break. So I had like 12, 15 tracks ready. So once I got that break, it was like easier for me to get signed, because they were like, oh, I've heard of this guy, he's got a track or so and so in the charts or whatnot. So it was just having that break, I gained the support of a lot more higher class DJs and producers, because they actually had a bit more respect for me, that, you know, I've been around for so many years trying to do this, and now it's, you know, it's really starting to pay off, and the gigs, and I'm making money as a DJ producer solely. That's what I think happened to me purely after I got the break. It was like, you know, this is a profession, an actual profession where, you know, you've got to treat it seriously, but you've also got to look after yourself and have a bit of fun, you know. My biggest investment in my career has to be setting up the studio with my friend Kuruba Studios. He was a vital part in this as well, because we could both put our heads together and come up with this. So it was being able to teach other people the knowledge that I knew, and that way I gained fans along the way, because they trusted in what I was doing, and they supported my music because I was helping them along the way, but also, you know, making a career out of teaching people in the studio, and making a career out of producing my own tracks, and making a career out of, you know, DJing. They all kind of, they fit into the one brand. That was purely essential, because I could eat, sleep and breathe music and still earn a living by doing that. If I had to be in a job doing something else other than music, God knows what, I would really struggle to get that balance right and to be able to do the music as much as and spend the hours that I do now. You know, it was absolutely vital that I came up with a studio that's separate to a house. It's an actual studio, it's an actual building. That was a vital move for me because I can't just take myself away from, you know, me as a person, James as a person, and be Kinnerman when I'm in the studio and be that person that's making music and stuff and have no distractions from the outside world. Do you know what I mean? Whereas when I was making music at home in my back room, I had the distraction of, you know, there's a window, I can see what time it is, I can go downstairs, go in the kitchen, cook food or blah, blah, blah. Even though I could do that here, but I mean, like, you know, the family aspect and the living aspect of normal humanity was there, but in a studio, you kind of have the sense where as soon as you walk in, you shut the door, it's like a light switch and it's like world off, music on. So my connection with Toolroom actually stems back quite a few years ago. When I was 16 years old, I had a release on a label called Proud Sound. Now Matt Smallwood, who runs the A&R, actually remixed the track that I released when I was 16 years old. Now, we've always kind of kept in touch. Now, as I developed into Kinnerman, what happened was I was always releasing music on Elrow and Kaluki and the other record labels like Josh Butler's Origins Rcrds and so on. And then recently Toolroom picked up on it and my management look after other artists as well, so who've had releases on Toolroom. So basically it was kind of naturally going to happen for me to release on Toolroom, and we had the connection there because Toolroom also look after other record labels, so I knew the guys quite well. So it came about pretty much with my music as, you know, people have heard of me, people knew I was doing good music and stuff, and then Toolroom came about and was like, let's get a track off you. So that's how the connections came about, but it's really good. It feels like a close family and they welcome me in with open arms. Many years ago I used to watch Deadmau5's live streams and he used to literally just watch and he wouldn't even be telling us anything. It would just be like he'd be tweaking things and stuff like that. I learned quite a lot from just watching that. And also when I was like 16, 17, I used to buy computer music, future music and all these magazines and reading all these kind of bits and bobs. But other than that, I feel like there's no specific person that I've learned like a whole bunch from. It was just learning bits and bits from everyone, you know, from kind of listening to Jesse Perez's music and analysing. He was like a big part of like my early Kinnerman tracks. I used to love listening to like his music and how he produced them, and I just analyse and spend so many hours just listening to that, you know, steps that he's took to get to where he is. You know, I used to watch like little tutorials from all sorts of different things on YouTube and stuff like that, but to me, I think the main thing that I learned from was actually learning it the hard way. It was not speaking to people, and when I first started producing, it was on Propellerhead Reason, and it was literally just like diving a deep end. You know, my mate ended up giving me a copy of it, and I had to just sit there and just figure this out on my own. And I don't know how I did it, but I did it. And I think it's the commitment, the drive, the motivation, and the constant, you know, ups and downs that gets you to where you are. If you've got the passion, you've got the love for it, no matter what, you will always achieve what you want. Going forward and having FaderPro and Toolroom Academy film me here today in the studio is such an important aspect into the music industry, because the same way as I develop my skills by watching, learning, reading and speaking and networking to other people, I think it's important to give back. I already teach people on a one-to-one basis here in my studio in Liverpool. So to be able to do this as an online course makes my production skill and techniques available to people further afield that can't travel to my studio. On this course, I go through essential techniques on how to produce at the best of your ability. You can use different skills and techniques that I go across along the way to help make your life a little bit easier in the studio.